How's it going, Ken?
Hey David. All right, cool. Let's get underway. So welcome everybody. Welcome. This is the first webinar we've done with David, and we're very excited to have him on the webinar today, and also coming to Australia for the first time next month, which we'll talk about a little bit later on. David, you're a man of unique experience and skills from everything that I've read and everything that we've talked about. I might just do a quick intro to give people a little bit of background on you and what you know and where you've come from, and then we can kick off from there if that's all right.
Okay, sounds good.
Cool. Now, the first thing is can everybody see the chat box? I've just you should be able to see the chat box over in the sidebar on the just to the right of the screen, and it'll also have a little section at the bottom where you can post questions. So if you do have questions for David as we go, put them in whenever they come up, and we'll take questions at different points during the webinar today. Cool. And now, if you can hear me, okay, just type something in the chat box and just say, "Yep, yes, I can hear you," or something like that, and we just know that everything's working. Cool. All right, we're getting some yeses. Cool. Okay. Yep. Lots of yeses coming in. Okay, that's great. All right. Well, let's get things kicked off. So, just by way of background, a little bit about David. He's when I look back over his history, he's done some real interesting things over the years. David, you've worked in everything from banking to real estate. You're an author. You've done publishing, PR, and today in marketing. That's a very varied career over the years. But when I read your bio, it sounds like every step made sense at the time. So understand where it's come from. That's quite interesting. You're also, and a lot of people on the call today will be familiar with Infusionsoft. I know we use it. A lot of our clients use it. You were, by the looks, a fairly early employee at Infusionsoft back in about 2008, and made a key contribution to the company at the time when it doubled its revenue in that 12 months. So one thing that's of particular interest to me is that you were former CEO of Guerrilla Marketing, and obviously we brought Jay Levinson to Australia a few years ago before he passed away this year, and he's a lovely guy, and also I think a very prolific author on the topic of marketing. He's sold millions and millions of Guerrilla books on marketing over the years, probably more than anybody else. And you co-authored a book with him, Guerrilla Rainmaker, which sold very well. And more recently, you've done a lot of work with Hollywood celebrities, recording artists, and so on in the area of media and their public profile, and so on. And from what I understand today, most of your time is spent helping small and medium business owners with their marketing. So that's quite a varied capsule summary. David, did I leave anything important out?
Well, yeah, it's interesting trying to sum up someone's life in a few words, isn't it? No, I appreciate that, Ken. Yeah, at Infusionsoft, I did a year-long contract with them and helped take them from about $7 to $14 million, built up a lot of their affiliates. Shortly after that, I was the CEO of Guerrilla Marketing, and so me and Jay were able to do some books together, and between me and him, we've done 23 million books in 62 languages around the world. And it's almost been exactly a year since Jay Levinson, my mentor and dear friend, passed away. It's almost exactly down to the day, believe it or not. I was able to go back and do his eulogy there in Florida. And yes, an amazing man, excited to follow in his footsteps for sure. But yes, lately, more recently, my time in California, Beverly Hills, specifically, we've spent a lot of time working with celebrities. I bought and took over a company called LCO that has represented 58 Academy Award winners, 34 Grammys, and 43 New York Times bestsellers. And of course, I've had the privilege of adding to that list and working with that list and bringing in a lot of new clients as well as dealing with some of the old clients. So, all of it at the end of the day, Ken, is just really about helping people become an icon in their industry, or helping business people become celebrities, or even helping celebrities become business people. So we find that a lot of these people, as they build a brand, they want to find other ways to monetize it. So for example, a lot of people know of the band called Kiss, right? They paint their faces white and black, and Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley, and this has been one of our clients over the years, and they are amazing when it comes to monetizing their brand. So they have clothing lines, and they work in arena football, and we actually even helped do some PR for them, or did the PR for them for their Rock and Brew restaurants. So this is kind of a common theme for us, is helping someone become an icon in their industry, but then also helping them monetize it by speaking, by writing books, by opening restaurants, by clothing lines, and all kinds of different avenues and ways. So yeah, that's kind of become my my moniker, the Icon Builder, and that's the book I wrote last year, was Cracking the Icon Code. So absolutely, you've nailed it. That has become my life, and that is my passion. It's a lot of fun to see somebody go from zero to hero, or even from hero to superhero.
Cool. All right, fantastic. And the topic that we're talking about today, I think, will be of great interest to a lot of our listeners, and certainly it is for me. I started a couple of businesses from scratch, including in IT, and did it the hard way. My first business I started was in IT, and I just had a directory of IT managers at large companies, and I got to work cold calling, and it took me 6 months to build a bit of momentum and get some business happening. But there's a much better way to do things, from everything I've read with what you're saying, and this idea of having a profile and having clients call you instead of you having to go out and chase them. It will be exciting to a lot of people, not just me, I'm sure. So why don't you just tell us a little bit more about that by way of getting started?
Well, I think one of the big things I want to share, and I'll just take over the screen here. Is that all right, Ken?
Mm-hmm, sure.
Yeah, so I think one of the things that I always like to really explain to people is that you really have to look at yourself in the terms of a marketing universe. You need to have your own icon solar system, and that's what I'm showing you in front of you right now. And this is kind of what we might call an infographic. I love infographics. We want to make complex things simple. And this is one of those things that hopefully does that for you. This here kind of represents your whole universe in terms to your brand. And of course, what is the most important thing in your universe? Believe it or not, it's websites. People are always a little thrown off by that, but let's put it this way, Ken. Unless you're already some kind of superstar, if somebody hears something about you, if they hear you on the radio, if they see you on TV, if they see your book, if you get referred by somebody, they're going to Google you, they're going to search you, they're going to go online. This is how we find out about people. And what people find out about you online really says a lot about you and a lot about your success. And so I teach people how to have certain kinds of websites, and one of the most popular kinds of websites for the truly successful, or what I would call the super successful, is to have what I call an icon website. And an icon website, it's not very salesy, it doesn't have a lot of hype, but what it does is it has a lot of social proof, a lot of testimonials, a lot of endorsements. It's got a lot of information about what's in it for the person visiting you. It's got pictures, it's got videos, and it just positions you as an icon in your industry. And kind of working out from there, published works, having a book or multiple books being published in magazines and newspapers. Maybe it's personal media. That's you having your own radio show. Maybe that's you having your own TV show. Having credentials, that's certifications and degrees. Having celebrity endorsements, that's really big and special. Having testimonials. The traditional media is Jupiter out there. That's a big one, right? So I make it Jupiter. Being featured on the media, the whole as seen on. That really solidifies you and gives you a lot of social proof when there are major networks that are endorsing you just by having you on, and winning awards, and of course social media. That's Earth. I mean, everybody lives. Okay, everybody lives on planet Earth these days. They live on planet social media, and so of course that's why I made social media planet Earth. But I go into this so much in my events. I build out each one of these planets, and even sometimes the moons that orbit these planets. But this is what your marketing universe looks like, everything should be in the gravitational pull of your websites. Everything should orbit around it, everything should work in conjunction with it. And this is huge stuff. So I try to get people thinking about these types of areas. We give people quizzes to kind of rate themselves. Do you have good websites? Do you cram everything on one site, or do you have websites just for events? And do you have websites just for your personal business? And do you have a website just for yourself? And do you have a website just for a membership? And do you have websites just for each company? We get into these really in depth in the events, Ken, but this is a great way just to look and see where you're at, because being an icon, what it does is it answers the question, why you, right? A lot of people out there, they're trying to say, why you? Why you, David Fagan? Why am I going to hire you to be my marketer? Why am I going to hire you to represent me and do PR? I personally have to answer that question myself. And so I want to be able to say, well, you look, I was the former CEO of Guerrilla Marketing. I look at all these celebrities I've represented. Look at all the books I've written. I was just on Fox News about a month ago. I was just in the Washington Post, a big newspaper here in the States. I was just interviewed by the Financial Times. I have hundreds of testimonials. I have all these endorsements. I've written all these books. I could go on, but you get the idea, Ken. We need to have answers to the questions of why you, and your icon solar system, your social proof, is what answers that. And it gets to be kind of fun in a way, because what it really does is it creates an unfair advantage over the competition. And I know that's a little tricky nowadays. Is it okay to compete in Australia? I don't know. In some places in America, Ken, everybody wants to hug and hold hands and sing Kumbaya. And I have to remind people, look, guys, it's okay to compete for business. It's okay to talk about what makes us great. What we just don't want to do is we don't want to talk about what makes the competition bad. We're not going to worry about the competition. And when I say we're going to talk about what makes us great, I don't mean I'm personally going to tell the world how great I am. That's the beauty of social proof. I don't have to tell the world how great I am if my websites do it, if the media's doing it, if my clients are doing it, if my books are doing it. If the testimonials are doing it, if the organizations that are giving me awards are doing it, they're telling the world how great I am. And that's what we need.
Great. Okay. And now for everyone who's listening, David's asking about competing because I've been trying to explain to him the concept we have here of the tall poppy syndrome, which is somewhat foreign to you, right, David?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've heard about that. That's a common thing when people talk about the Australian markets. But no, I have not experienced that firsthand. So yeah, you've been telling me about that for sure.
Yeah. So I think to answer your question, yes, it's okay to compete. Where particularly the people on this call are here to learn how to make their businesses more successful. And if you want to grow, then you've got to take business off somebody else who's not doing it as well as you are. So I think everyone's on board with that concept. So that's great. So. Now, one of the things you like to do, I understand, is take strategies, particularly media and PR strategies from the world of Hollywood, from celebrity land, and bring them in and use them in the business world. And I know one of the things that you sometimes hear actors say is they talk about people come up to them on the street or in public, and they talk to them as if they are their character from a TV show or a movie. They sort of forget that they're a person, and they think of them as a character in a fictional TV show, and that's all because that persona precedes them or goes ahead of them. And so I think what you're saying here is, ideally a business owner wants to achieve the same thing, so that before a prospective client even meets them, they feel like they know them and they know what they're about and what they stand for and who they are as a result of that icon profile. Is that Is that an accurate summary?
Well, absolutely. I mean, at the end of the day, this comes down to lead generation, but not just lead generation, the best kind of leads, the highest quality of leads. And what happens when you're an icon in your industry, whether it's business, whether it's entertainment, there's a lot of industries out there. People want to brag about working with you. Okay, they don't just hire you. They go to their friends and say, "Hey, you know who my coach is? Hey, you know who my marketer is? Hey, you know who my attorney is? I hired this doctor. This doctor is my doctor." And it's just an amazing transformation and a whole paradigm shift when you are an icon in your industry. It goes from you pulling people and chasing people to all of a sudden you just attracting people. Okay? And instead of, convincing people, right, they are coming to you already somewhat pre-sold. And so when you can have that kind of reputation, when you can have that kind of brand, it's huge. What I'm kind of showing you here on the screen, Ken, that plays in what you're talking about is a lot of people, they don't understand really how Hollywood, works. And we can learn a lot from Hollywood. I know I've learned a lot from it. You have publicists, you have production companies, you have managers and coaches, you have networks, you have agents and brokers. And people kind of confuse these things a little bit. A publicist is really there to make sure you're in the media, you stay in the media, you're in the media in a positive way, okay? Sometimes we have clients that kind of get themselves into trouble in the media, and so it's our job to make sure there's a complete picture, a fair picture, and that good things are being shared. Production companies, those are more like directors and cinematographers and producers. They create content. Okay, managers and coaches are more week-to-week and sometimes day-to-day support, and so sometimes people will confuse a publicist with a manager and coach, but those are two very different jobs, two very different roles. Obviously, networks are all the stations that will talk about you, if there's a potential chance for them to share your message or to celebrate your expertise. And then there's agents and brokers. Agents and JV brokers, they're usually just come along to create the contract, create the deal. And this is a really important concept because this is how a team for talent works. And even people in business, especially people in business, you got to have a team. Having a team is huge, and so much can be gained by a team. Actually, let me tell you something here. This is kind of interesting. I was thinking about this the other day as I was writing this in a new book I'm doing. I really had the biggest paradigm shift in team when I was actually at a presentation for private schools. So I went to this presentation because they were talking about whether or not you want to send your kids to private schools or finding the right school for them. And so I'm listening to this guy, very successful educator. He's talking, and he says to me, he says to the whole audience, he says, "All right," he says, "I want you to close your eyes." And so here I am sitting in the audience, I'm closing my eyes, and he says, "I want you to think about your child, and I want you to think about the potential of that child. What are they going to do with their life? Who are they going to help? Who are they going to serve? What are they capable of? What's possible for that child? What do they need to learn? What do they need to do?" And they just really get you thinking about your kid. And then he says this question, and it totally changed my life. He said, "Now ask yourself this." He's talking to me. He's talking to me. He says, "Now ask yourself this. Does your current child's education live up to your current child's full potential?" Whoa, whoa. I kind of said, I go, whoa, wow, does my current child's education live up to my child's full potential? And of course, a lot of us parents, we're going, well, no, right? We think our children are brilliant and they've got this huge life in store of them. And so we want to have something that lives up to their full potential. It took me only a few seconds to then transfer this to my business and think about, what is my business capable of? Who are all the people I'm going to help? Is it a national business? Is it an international business? What does the team need to be? How am I going to help them? What do the dollars look like? And then I had to ask myself this question: does my current team live up to my business's full potential? Wow, was that a really empowering question? Because here's the thing, Ken, a lot of times the team that got us to where we're at now is not the team that's going to get us to where we need to go next. Now, sometimes they can change, sometimes they can evolve, okay? And one of the things that Hollywood has down so well is they know how to put together a team. They've got everybody there. It's a billion, trillion-dollar organization and industry, and so everybody has a role. Everybody plays that role. When you have talent, you attract this team of amazing people. And, it should be the same way in our business. Now, we have to do the best that we can with the money that we have, but we should always be looking for who is that team, who can go out and talk about us so we don't have to talk about ourselves. Because let's face it, that's not helpful. When we talk about being an icon in our industry, we're not talking about you going out and saying, hey, did you see what I just did? Look at me. Look at this new book. Hey, look at this new picture of me. Don't I look good in that? That doesn't work, does it, Ken?
No, particularly not out in Australia. That you would get told off pretty well for that sort of attitude.
Yeah, exactly. So, this is kind of the way we start to look at things for people is, putting together a team. Do you have a team? And now in your business world, you might not have a production company, but you're going to have somebody helping you create content. You might not have a manager, but you probably should have some kind of coach. You definitely want to benefit from networks, whether they're radio networks, whether they're TV networks, whether they're networks of people. You may not have an agent, but everyone, if they don't need an agent, they definitely need some kind of JV broker, someone that's out there trying to set them up with deals and trying to make things happen. Absolutely. Let me show you something else here, Ken, just to kind of tie some of these things together. And we've got a lot of diagrams and infographics, and I know a lot of people like that kind of thing, and so we'll get you tied into that. I'll leave that up to you, Ken, on how we want to share those, but I'll make some of these available for sure. This is something where a lot of people kind of miss the mark. Does the media even want to interview you? So there's three things. One, is your topic newsworthy? Is it something that's going on in the news right now? Two, are you fascinating? Right? It helps to be fascinating and intriguing and be able to have an intelligent conversation. And then, do you have an expert status? And I have a lot of very direct conversations with people because, they believe that they should be on the TV all the time. And a lot of people go after TV publicity-wise as if it's like some kind of commercial. Well, that's not what journalists are there to do. That's not what producers are there to do. That's not what editors are there to do. They need to feel like they are covering the news. So one of the things that I'm helping people a lot with and becoming an icon in their industry is becoming somewhat of a celebrity guest expert. So, we help find the things in the news that we can tie some kind of angle to and have you appear as an expert, right? Have you appear as an expert because being an expert on something positions you as some kind of celebrity, some kind of icon. It helps separate you from the competition. And again, when you've got to answer the question, why you? Why am I going to hire you? You can say, well, look, I was featured on this. I was featured on that. I was just interviewed here. I was just interviewed there. But keep in mind, when you're going about PR and press, if you're boring, you're going to have a hard time. If you're not seen as an expert, you're going to have a hard time. If you can't, find a way to connect yourself to the ongoing news, you're going to have a hard time.
Mm-hmm.
As you know, uh, I've got kind of a tricky balance, Ken. You know, I need to be in the news just enough so that my clients know I know how to do it. But I can't be in the news too much because then they wonder why they're not in the news more. They think I'm just promoting myself. So I've got sort of a tricky balance there. But you know, I was on Fox and Friends in the morning probably about 6 weeks ago, and I've got a new book coming out called Guerrilla Parenting. And this book is kind of the unconventional way to raise an entrepreneur. It's something me and Jay Levinson always talked about. And so because we always talked about that, I thought it'd be a lot of fun to do. Matter of fact, I'll pull this up here. But so what I did is I made a very bold, controversial statement. And the very bold, controversial statement that I made was that I refuse to pay for my kids' college education. And so a publicist that works for me as a part of my company, as a part of my team, you know, she represents our clients. She also represents me. And so we had her do a release. And so we made this very controversial statement. You know, I made a series of controversial statements. And so that got their attention. We always want to get their attention first. And so that got their attention. And then what I said was, you know, I refuse to pay for any of my kids' college education. So long story short, Fox calls me up and says, we'd like to have you on. They research. I've got a book cover. I show them the book. I go on. So I did this at the time that the school year here was just getting ready to start. So school year starts in September here. So school year was just getting ready to start. And so what I did was, you know, I did that in a timely way. That was a newsworthy topic. And that newsworthy topic was shared in a controversial way. And plus, I have somewhat of a status in that, right? Because why? Well, because I have how many kids? How many kids do I have, Ken? You probably lost track, huh?
7, right?
This is the one that always. Really surprises people here. Let's see if I can do this right. So there's me and my 8 children. I know, it's kind of crazy.
Missed one.
But let me play around with that there a little bit. So there's me and my 8 children. My oldest is 17, Jordan. She's on the left. My youngest is 2. Now, I don't want to derail this whole thing here, but we all have things that are unique about us. Obviously, one of the things that's kind of unique about me is I have 8 kids. So sometimes I kind of use that. But I also do a camp, a young entrepreneur camp, and this was just featured in Forbes. So what I did is in May, before the summertime, I shared my young entrepreneur camp, and I shared some of the successes of the people in the young entrepreneur camp. And Forbes magazine did a whole write-up on it. Part of it was because it was newsworthy, it was timely, it was the time of year that parents start thinking about, hey, where am I going to send my kids to? On top of that, I had done a bunch of stuff with young entrepreneurs. On top of that, I've helped all my kids start their own businesses. So it was newsworthy, controversial. And then also, I'm an expert when it comes to being an entrepreneur. So this is the kind of thing that you want to start thinking about. I'm just giving you, a few examples here. But this really translates into every market, don't you think, Ken?
Yeah, I think so. And in fact, I was about to ask you some more about that. You've kind of started to answer it but I was going to say, for some of the questions that we've had on email ahead of this webinar tie in with something that we hear from our clients from time to time, which is, people may be sitting there thinking, well, it's fine for you, David. You were the CEO of Guerrilla Marketing. You've got it. That's a great story to tell. But what about me? I don't have anything as spectacular as that I can draw on. So for someone who feels like they're your typical small business owner without that kind of real celebrity angle that they can work with immediately, what would you say to them? And maybe you could tell us a little bit about some of your clients. So I gather you've when you work with someone, you're almost always able to find something unique that they can use like this when they go to build their profile. Can you tell us a little bit more about how that works?
Yeah, well, look, let's take some of the excuses away, right now. I think anytime we hear from a speaker, our natural tendency is to kind of tear them down a little bit, and I'm guilty of this myself. Sometimes I'm even just sitting, in just a generic group of people, and someone's just casually presenting an idea, and I'm thinking, oh, don't say that. Oh, you got to speak clearly, speak up. We're just wired that way to kind of judge. We're also kind of wired that way to make ourselves feel better by maybe taking away, some of the success that that other people have. We want to say, well, yeah, sure, that woman's really successful, but she's really beautiful. So if I was as beautiful as she was, I'd probably be more successful. Or, hey, look, that guy probably comes from money. I bet you his parents have money, and if I had that kind of money, I bet you, I would be more successful too. Or, hey, that person probably has a really fancy, education. And so I mean, look, I appreciate people giving me compliments, but look, I don't have any more time than any one of you. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I show the picture of all the kids. I don't have a lot of time. I got to be very smart about how I spend my time. But more importantly, Ken, I didn't graduate from the 11th grade of high school. Oh, did I lose you there? You still there? Are you still there, Ken?
I dropped off for just a second. Now I'm back.
Okay, you dropped off for a second. Okay, so we're all back now?
I think so. I'm just going to get the webinar jam going again so I can see what's happening.
Okay.
I think just keep speaking, David, because I
Okay.
will presume that everyone can still hear you.
So a lot of these people, they think that there's all these things, but and I appreciate the compliments, but I didn't finish the 11th grade. I did learn how to customize my education. I did do some more education, but I don't have the level of education. My parents, we don't come from money. My parents were never able to, give me some large, sum of money. So I guess the reason why I tell you all this, Ken, is because everything I've done, anybody else can do. Yes, I have lived an event-filled life. I have lived, I've really done some things, but anybody can do things. Anybody can set out to have an extraordinary life. Anybody can decide that they want to live their life like they're going to write a book about it, like someone's going to write a book about it. So, but even more specifically, what I did is I put something up here on the screen that hopefully you can see, and I kind of call this the Zero to Hero Infinity Roadmap. And you kind of, you start learning and you start earning money and you earn credit, maybe you earn venture capital. No matter what, you got to earn more than you owe. And when you earn more than you owe and save, now you can make an investment in yourself. And you can make an investment in your business. And if you do it strategically, it should make you even more money. And it becomes kind of this infinity cycle. It kind of becomes this thing that just goes on and on. And it becomes a process where you can go from zero to hero. You can start out and say, hey, look, I don't have any huge accomplishments yet. Well, let's get some huge accomplishments. Let's talk about how you do that. You guys talked about me working with Jay Conrad Levinson. Jay wanted me to work for him. Jay wanted me to have a leadership position. There wasn't really a lot of pay in that beginning. I ate what I killed. I came there to prove myself and to prove my abilities. And the more books I helped us sell and the more online I helped us get, the more money I made. I've worked with some amazing people, but some of these people that I worked with in the beginning, I worked with them for free. Even as close as 5, 6, 7 years ago, there were some very successful and famous people that I wanted to learn from and grow from and prove my worth to. So I would go there and I would take on projects that I know would earn me somewhat of an icon, status. So my screen looks a little bit different here than it did before. So can you tell, Ken, if my slide is up here? Just want to make sure if I'm broadcasting the right thing here.
Yeah, it looks fine to me.
Okay, just making sure, checking in on that. But so you can do a lot with very little, and you can earn those wins, and you can turn those wins into opportunities. And that's kind of what I teach people. We had a 17-year-old, well, 16-year-old kid at the time named Houston Gunn, and we helped him, write a book. Got endorsed by Donald Trump. He's doing interviews with Dave Ramsey. Helped him launch a magazine, called Jolt Magazine. This kid didn't have a lot to go on, but he took massive amounts of action. We documented the massive amounts of action, and as he got wins, as he got noticed, we turned that into more. We created momentum. Momentum's an amazing thing. You get a few wins together, and all of a sudden you've got a lot of positive momentum. Of course, unfortunately, the reverse side is true too. Sometimes you have a few things go wrong, and you kind of wonder if anything's ever going to go right. And of course, how you change that around is look for some easy wins. Look for some low-hanging fruit. Get a little momentum going your way. Did you verify we're
great? Sorry about that. I'm just getting my my login working again.
Okay, no problem.
All right, so that's great. Why don't we just digress for a minute? We'll talk about your trip to Australia next month.
Okay, sounds good. And let me. It's telling me that maybe what I'm going to have to do here is. Yeah, let's talk about that. I was just trying to make sure we were on here, Ken, because it was telling me to please relog in to Hangout using my admin Hangout link. So I wasn't sure if I needed to do that or not.
No worries. Well, so far as I can tell, everything's working as it should.
Okay, no problem.
So we'll come back to this in just a minute, but thought I just mentioned you're coming to Australia next month. We're doing 3 events in Brisbane, Sydney, and Melbourne. I've got the dates here: Brisbane, November the 10th, Sydney, November the 11th, Melbourne, November the 12th. From everything I've read about what you're doing, that sounds like a fantastic way for someone to get started building their icon profile and getting things a real kickstart along. You want to say a few words about what you'll be covering on the day?
Yeah, I mean, let's first identify this. I mean, just ask yourself these 3 questions. Would you make more money if you were more influential? Would you make more money if you had more credibility? Would you make more money if you got more exposure? And look, if you answered yes to any one of those things, most of you probably answered yes to all of those things. But if you answered yes to any one of those things, then you really would be making a wise investment to be at this kind of event. Now, that might seem kind of like a loaded question, but I don't mean it to be, because there really are some people who it really doesn't matter how influential they are. It really doesn't matter their credibility. It doesn't matter about any of that stuff. They're running a company. They want to hide out. They want to hang out in their underwear behind their laptop and sell widgets on the computer or something like that for some other company or some other organization. So this isn't for them. But if you're in the advice business, if you make money off the advice you give, okay, if you're a speaker, an author, a coach, a trainer, if you're an attorney, if you're a doctor, you're some kind of CPA or accountant, if you're out there giving people advice, then you benefit from having somewhat of a celebrity status. You benefit by having somewhat of an icon status. So at this event, we show people very easily how to get better testimonials, how to get endorsements, how to get some easy wins and then capture those on video. We show people how to create a media kit and write their bios in the kind of way that it will attract media interviews and media attention. We show you how to create a lot of social proof so you can answer that question, why you? We'll teach you how to create kind of a trust bank. Okay, it's just a whole vault of information, of social proof that you can pull out and use, your company can use, your team can use. And we teach you how to go, from zero to hero. Whatever level you're on, we teach you how to kind of get to the next level in your own personal brand and with your own level of success. Whether it's writing books. Writing books is huge, Ken, and we get a lot into that. How do you do your covers? A lot of people are out there trying to figure out, how do I, have a bestseller and sell millions of copies? One of the things I teach is how to make money without ever selling one copy. How do you find riches and never sell one copy? I mean, that's the better way to do it. And so these are all things that we'd be talking about at the event.
Cool. All right, fantastic. Just thought I'd mention to everyone, we appreciate people taking action, and we like to make that always worth your while. So we're doing something special today for these events for everyone who's jumped on the webinar today and spent a little bit of time to listen to David and hear what he does. So the one-day events we have coming up next month are a $97 event, but for everyone that's on the webinar today, we're doing an absolute ridiculous special, and we're inviting you to come for just $1. So I'll pop up a little link on your screen, and you'll see over near the chat box. It's got a button you can click on that will take you through to the sign-up page. I don't know if I can get that to work. It's just playing up. Can you see that pop-up, David? It's saying it should be displayed.
Actually, I'm not. I'm sorry. I see a picture of you with sound waves coming out of you. That's what.
No worries. We've got it working now. So everyone should see a picture of David with a gold ticket. If you just click the button under that, just put in your email address and your city, and then you'll go through to a screen where you can sign up. Now I should just I'll just turn on my. Sorry, Dave. I'm just going to take the screen off you, and if I can make this work, I'll display my my slide with a screenshot.
Okay.
David, can you see my PowerPoint at the moment?
I'm sorry, I can't. I just see you talking here. Let me see here. I think I know how to fix this.
I've got it. Sorry, we're having a few hangout problems today. It's not gone smoothly at all. But I think I've got it now. Okay, great. David, can you see my PowerPoint now?
Yes, I can.
Okay, great. So when you click through on that little icon, you'll see this form just takes your email address and you choose your city. And then you'll go through to this page. You can see we've got the early bird pricing by default which is about to expire. And then down the bottom of the page, we've got this little coupon code. So just next to the box there, right next to where it says apply, you type in a coupon code of ICON-WEBINAR. Press apply, and that will let you book in for this event for just $1. All right, now we've got somebody in the chat saying it's $47. Yeah, sorry, you just got a little ahead of me there. You need the coupon code to reduce that to $1. Fantastic. Okay, we've got people getting in there. It seems to be working all right. Cool. Now, I should just mention we're doing this just for this offer for 48 hours. So because you're on the webinar now, if you someone's saying, I don't have my credit card with me, yeah, you've got a little bit longer. It's going to last for 48 hours until the early bird expires. And at that point, the price will go to $97. So grab your ticket now.
So you decided to do it for $1, is that right, Ken?
We did, yep.
Wow.
Just for people that are on this webinar.
Wow, that's great. That's amazing.
The coupon code, I'll put the coupon code in the chat box.
I have a few people in the States over here that got on this, I guess, because they're asking me about that. They're going to give me a hard time because I don't normally give them that good of a deal, Ken. That's good.
Well, it's your first visit to Australia, and we want to do something special and kick off with a bang.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Cool. All right. So back to you, David. Where were we?
So let's see if I can put up. See if I can put this back up here again. So let's see if I can share this here. So yeah, you were just asking me, what about people that maybe they're not quite there yet, and I was just trying to explain that, I don't have any benefactors, any fancy degrees. I don't have any more time than anybody else. I mean, it really is possible to go out there and to show your value, and that's one of the things that we talk about at the event. Finding opportunities to prove your value, show your worth, and from there, slowly build, turn those wins into things, turn those opportunities, into things. And that's one of the things that we're going to do, at the event. We have some great case studies, different chiropractors that we've helped, very young people that we've helped, some of the celebrities, that we've worked with. And I even kind of do something kind of fun, Ken, that I call lessons I learned the hard way. It's always a popular topic that I do, but I go through and I talk about some of the celebrities or well-known or powerful organizations that we've worked with, and just some of the mistakes quite honestly that we've made. And I want to feel like I've learned from them, and I want to turn a negative into a positive. So we talk about some of these things too. There's I'll give you a really quick example. There's a place called Cliffside, Malibu. And Cliffside, Malibu is probably the most famous rehab clinic in the States, if not maybe the world. So a lot of the celebrities, royalty from other countries, I mean, this is where they go if they're struggling with different types of addiction. And doing PR for them is a really tricky deal. We know a lot about what's going on and who's there, and so there's a lot of paperwork and there's a lot of secrecy. And probably the biggest way that most people know about Cliffside, Malibu is Lindsay Lohan, when she was having all of her courtroom trouble and problems a year and a half, 2 years ago, when she was in court on public record in explaining to the judge that she was trying to do better. She said, "Hey, I'm at Cliffside, Malibu," and so that wasn't a breach of secrecy or anything like that, because the patient or the person, they can say whoever they want, where they're at. So a lot of people know of Cliffside, Malibu here, and we did PR for them. And there's a very famous boxer who was who was there and who got out of there, and it hit the news networks that he had come out of rehab in Cliffside, and a lot of people were making fun of this kind of favorite boxer. And so I'm very big on celebrating, what I believe in, or celebrating people, or celebrating organizations. So I wrote an article about how great this boxer was, and how even though he keeps getting knocked down, he keeps getting back up again in life. And I put the article out there, and I celebrated Cliffside, and I celebrated the boxer, and it was all talked about in this article in the news. And so the next day, which was December 13th, I'll never forget it, December 13th of last year, I got a call from the lead counsel over there. And he called me up, and he was really upset, and I couldn't understand what he was upset about. And I said, look, I just wrote this article about this, famous boxer and our client and how great they are. And he's like, yeah, you can't do that. And I said, well, it was already in the news. I mean, Lindsay Lohan, she was in the news, and this story was in the news. And so, I read this story, and so I wrote this article. And the attorney said to me, he said, David, did you read the whole article? And all of a sudden, I got really sick to my stomach, and I started panicking, like, well, what's in this article? What did I miss? Sure enough, I opened up on my computer this article, and at the very bottom of the article, it said, Cliffside Malibu neither confirms nor denies the stay of this boxer. So basically, by me writing this article celebrating my clients, I basically confirmed that this famous boxer was in fact in rehab at this place. So it just so happened that it was my birthday, December 13th, and I was fired by Cliffside Malibu for making just an honest mistake. I didn't read it all. I thought that he already said it. I knew that the boxer didn't even care. He was taking interviews on it. But still, this particular client needed secrecy. And this was like, oh man, you want to talk about a lesson I learned the hard way? December 13th, okay, Friday, December 13th, that was my birthday. And I was actually at an event getting ready to go on stage. And moments before, I'm on my laptop, I'm on a phone call with an attorney, and I'm getting fired from a six-figure client. Okay, this client makes me at least 6 figures a year, and I end up getting fired because I spoke out of turn. Now, you might say, well, geez, that's a painful story. What are we going to learn from that? I mean, David, read the details, read the fine print. But, I don't want to give away my best stories now, but I just want to let you know that I've got some great stories where they're filed under lessons I learned the hard way. And guys, I've had a lot of successes, but I've made mistakes too. And you're going to learn just as much from my successes as you will from my mistakes, and vice versa. You're going to learn just as much from my mistakes as my successes. And there's something called the story effect, and we got to leverage the story effect. People don't remember facts and figures as much as they remember stories. And you got to realize that in your own brand, you have to develop the core stories that will attract the people you love to serve. You've got to develop the core stories that will attract the people you love to serve. Okay, so what are your stories? What are your experiences? How do you take something negative and turn it into a positive? By me sharing that story, Ken, do you think anything positive could come out of that?
I think somebody else will learn a lesson and hopefully avoid having to have that experience themselves.
You know what? I've actually had 2 clients come to me. Well, 2 leads come to me because of me sharing that story. And they ended up becoming clients. And they said, it really takes, someone with character to be able to admit their mistake and to show that they learned for it. So actually, I know for a fact I've actually signed up 2 new clients just by sharing a story of a lesson I learned the hard way. So there's, it's not just about the message, it's about what the message is. How do you share it? Everybody thinks that they got to go out and talk about themselves in a good way. And, there are times to be self-effacing. There is victory through vulnerability. And that's what I do as a promotional person. That's what I do as a publicist. That's what I do as a marketer. Now, I have graphic designers. I have copywriters. I have publicists. I mean, I have a whole team of people. But I'm always at the forefront developing the brand, creating the overall theme, figuring out the headline, designing the pitch. And the story is so important. And I think where some people get a little bit disconnected is, well, David, be an icon in your industry. What if I don't have anything good, or what if I don't want to go out there and say all these good things about myself? Well, then you're kind of missing the point, because sometimes you're going to share lessons you learned the hard way. Sometimes you're going to have to get some very basic wins and work your way up to something more newsworthy. But you got to start somewhere. I mean, everyone's got to start somewhere. If I can do it, uneducated, don't come from any money, I don't have a lot of time. If I can do it, I think just about anybody can do it.
Cool. Okay, fantastic. We might take some questions now, so if you've got a question for David, just type it in the chat box. I'll ask him. But I just wanted to say thanks, David. This info is great. And I think it's part of a new strategy in marketing. As the internet becomes more prevalent, people, we've seen some research that says people do a lot more research online now before they buy anything than they did even just a few years ago. Even just 2 or 3 or 4 years ago, people might only check a couple of sources while they're deciding to buy a product or service, and now they're checking 10 or a dozen sources. So this is, there's a new way of marketing and a new way of acquiring clients that we all need to learn as the world changes around us. And so thank you for showing leadership and direction in using this particular approach.
Yeah.
All right, so if you've got any questions for David, so I've got one for you. With the events coming up, maybe can you sum up for us what would a business owner be able to do, or what sort of result would they have at the end of that day? How will things be different?
Well, they'll know how to really package themselves and kind of see themselves as a product. They generally have a much better idea of how to talk about themselves, how to put their best foot forward. And I can't say this enough. It doesn't just mean showing all the best things about yourself, but showing the most authentic, impressive way to do that. I find that a lot of people don't always know how to describe what they do, to talk about what they do. They don't always know how to reference their successes, leverage their accomplishments. So by the time you leave there, you'll know how to write bios, you'll know how to create media kits, you'll know how to create an icon website. You'll know how to market a book. You'll know the value and importance of a cover. You'll know how to attract and go after potential celebrity endorsements. You'll know how to very easily and very quickly get more video testimonials. You'll know how to write headlines, write media pitches. You're going to get introduced to all those things and walk out with a pretty good understanding, really, of what it will take to put all those things together. You'll also just become very, very aware of how people see you. You see, there's a lot of cliches that are kind of mistakes, and people will say, one of those is that they'll say, well, I don't care what anybody thinks about me. Well, that's kind of wrong. That's kind of too bad. I mean, in business, we do need to care what people think about us. Now, we need to care about the right people, and we don't need to care about everyone. We need to care about our audience. But we need to know how to focus group things. We need to know how to split test things. We need to know how to get opinions. I've had some brilliant marketers hire me to help them, and it's not because they don't know how to market. It's because when it comes to ourselves, we're too close. I helped Ron LeGrand build his Gold Club membership. I helped John Assaraf, star of The Secret, build his automated webinar system for Retrain Your Brain. I helped Harry Dent, the economist, build up his membership before he sold off to Agora. And the list goes on and on. Those guys are brilliant guys. But when it comes to yourself, we look in the mirror and we got so many voices in our head. We've got friends and family that sometimes have given us compliments we don't deserve. Heck, sometimes friends and family have given us criticism we don't deserve, right? Then we have people in the public that have given us compliments that maybe we don't deserve, and maybe they've given us criticism that we don't deserve, and we're just kind of too close to it when it comes to ourselves. So we go into this event, and you come out of this event really getting a better understanding of how to evaluate and see people as other people see you. And really only then can you start to improve your image, improve your brand. My definition for brand is it's the sum total of all the experiences somebody has ever had with a person, place, or thing. Okay, a sum total of all the experiences anyone has ever had with a person, place, or thing. So, if somebody constantly experiences bad customer service, your brand is you don't have good customer service. If somebody constantly experiences a product that fails, you have a brand of a failed product. And that carries over into a lot of different ways. So when you come to this event, you really learn how to gather information, gather opinions, talk through other people. I have a new book coming out, Ken, and I hope to have it in my hands before I get out there, and it's called From Invisible to Invincible: Discovering the Art of Being Heard, Being Seen, Getting Results, and Gaining Wisdom. And one of the things I talk about is how to make your presence felt. Okay, you can't blend in. You can't be forgettable. One of the things this event will do is teach you how to stand out, how to make your presence felt, how to be unforgettable, okay? And for people to think of you. People don't buy when you're ready to sell, right? They buy when they're ready to buy. Our job is to create such a presence with them, to create such a movement with them, and make such a statement with them that when they are ready to buy, they think of us. Okay, when they think of our industry, when they think of our services, when they think of our products, they think of us. And so those are some of the things that they'll be learning there. I could go on and on, Ken, but those are some of the things they'd be learning.
Cool. Okay, fantastic. I had a question here. Let me just find it. Okay, this is a question from Nick. Nick is saying, in terms of getting media exposure in newspapers or on TV, do you approach media outlets like a newspaper or TV stations or to have articles written about you or stories run, or do you wait for the media to come to you?
No, you never.
Do you want to just break down the basics?
For the media to come to you. 80 to 90% of the best media is you going to them. There's an interesting relationship between journalists and publicists. Journalists think publicists, are kind of lazy, and publicists think journalists are kind of lazy. A lot of times, publicists are actually writing the stories for journalists. And if you want to get more exposure, make the journalists' jobs really easy. Okay, we all like for things to be easy. Let's face it. So we want to go to them. We want to, we need to give them the pitch. We need to give them the headline. We need to give them the angle. We need to almost write the story for them. And a lot of your best press will be, from that. If somebody has come to you for press, that means that if you were trying to get press, you probably would have got 5 to 10 times the amount. So, that's showing you what you're missing out on. So if you're coming to it, whatever press you're getting, you had the ability to probably get 5 to 10 times as much as if you were going after them. So no, it's you need to show them the controversy. You need to show them the newsworthy. You need to show them, hey, your listeners want to know about this. Your viewers want to know about this. And you also want to be able to show them what you can do for them. I always tell people, hey, if I'm on your show or if my client's on your show, I'll push it out through social media. I'll email my database. I'll post it on my websites. Especially a lot of these internet media, which is a great place to start with. Great for links, great for backlinks, great for lead generation. They need traffic. They've got a job also. Their job is to get traffic. If you can sell them on how you're going to get traffic to their article, get people to comment, get people to like, get people to interact, get people to engage, that makes them look good. And so we teach you, what these people want, what do these producers and editors and journalists want, because if you can make their job easier and give them what you want, you're going to have a lot of opportunities.
Cool. Okay, fantastic. You up for another question?
Sure.
All right. Sue was asking about the process of connecting with celebrities for your partnerships, endorsements, those kind of things. What are some of the basics that you need to have in place, and what's the broad process that you go about to do that?
Well, a couple things. This really underlines what I was talking about. Celebrities are going to check you out. Media is going to check you out. This is why it's important to have a very professional website about anything you're doing. The internet is the great equalizer, so when they go there, if you have a good, sophisticated, cutting-edge website, then it looks like, hey, this person's successful, they must make some money, they probably hired someone to build them a decent website, and they want to work with successful people. The media is always concerned and a little scared that they're going to put some huckster on, or someone's going to call them up a month later and say, hey, I saw somebody in the news or media and they ripped me off. And celebrities are the same way. They're very, very scared that they're going to get caught up in a scandal. We represent the Trans-Siberian Orchestra, their 80-city winter tour. They're a very big group out here. They do hundreds of millions of dollars, and they raise money on radio stations everywhere they go, and they let the radio station pick the charity that all the money is donated. And that might just sound like a nice thing to do, but I can tell you that that is very carefully crafted and very strategically done, because if that charity ever has something wrong with it, it will not come back on the Trans-Siberian Orchestra. They can basically say, hey, look, it was up to the radio station to pick. They can keep an arm's length distance and not have the responsibility of vetting these types of people or these types of organizations. So again, the more influential you are, the more credible you are, the more exposure you have. If you have a great website, if you have testimonials and endorsements, that's going to make other people feel more comfortable with you. As far as attracting celebrities, one of the things that we do is find out what celebrities believe in your cause or believe in your business. These celebrities, sometimes they have relatives, sometimes they have friends. They have certain things that are near and dear to their heart, and some are more activists when it comes to animals. Some are more activists when it comes to certain, diseases and cures. Some are more activists when it comes to kids. Some are more activists when it comes to veterans. Find out what they're already kind of doing and kind of go to them through that. But the more you know to them and you have a tie to them and you can show that you know what they like and what they love, and if you can give them a voice, they want to look good and they want to be reputable. So if you can say, hey, look, you've always supported this cause, here's what we've done, here's what we do differently, here's how reputable we are, this is the place that your dollars are going to go the furthest, your resources are going to go the furthest, and actually helping the cause that you care about the most.
Cool. Great. Thanks, David. We've gone over time now, so I'll just mention once more, this is your chance to get those live event enrollments for just $1. We've had a couple of people ask, are the live events going to be broadcast online or are they going to be recorded? And no, sorry, they're live only. So if you can make do make the effort to get along. It's David's first trip to Australia. We don't know if he's coming back at this stage, so it could be your only chance to see him. And those are afternoon events. They're 1 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. The Brisbane the 10th, Sydney the 11th, November the 12th. Those are all in CBD hotel venues. You'll get the exact details after you book in. And so use that code, the coupon code of Icon Webinar, to get that ticket for $1. We'll look forward to seeing you there. David, any final words or any thoughts to wrap up with?
Yeah, just really be thinking about not just getting more leads and getting more clients, but getting better leads and better clients. And what would your life look like if people came to you excited about working with you because of your accomplishments? You know, how do you create those accomplishments? But it really is a shift. I think in the beginning, a lot of people just think about, I need more leads, I need more sales, you know, I want to beat out my competition. You know, that's all good, but one of the things that you're going to find by having somewhat of a celebrity status, by having somewhat of an icon status, is not only are you going to do that, but you're going to attract better people. And you're going to be able to say no to the people that you just really don't like working with. I remember in the beginning I had to work with people regardless. Now, not only do I attract the right kind of clients, but if there's somebody that I don't want to work with, I don't have to. And your whole life changes when you start interviewing potential clients as much as they're interviewing you. Your lifestyle changes, the way you view time changes, the quality of your conversations, the quality of your projects, the quality of your services, you know, the whole quality of your life, because you're dealing with people that you enjoy more. And so, you know, think about that. You know, think about the feeling of attracting people that you would love to serve more than just, you know, the quantity. Think about the quality. So thank you, Ken. I've loved being on the webinar, and we'll looking forward to the trip out for sure.
Great. Thanks, David. We'll look forward to hosting here. Thanks, everyone, for joining us, for sticking around, even though we've gone a little over time. We appreciate that. I hope we'll see you at the live event. It's going to be a great day. Now that getting an insight into what David's presenting, we're getting more and more excited about it. So thank you all. Good luck, and we'll see you next month. Bye.